Have you ever known something that could save a life, but no one would listen? That's the question that haunted Cameron Brooks on a rainy October night, when an ambulance ripped through the city like lightning through silk, its sirens swallowing the air. Inside the Thompson estate, beneath crystal chandeliers worth more than most homes, a 12-year-old boy lay unconscious, his lips the color of a winter sky. Bo Thompson, CEO of a real estate empire that reshaped city skylines, stood at the window, his jaw clenched tight. A man who built towers, yet he couldn't construct an answer to why his son was dying. 48 hours, the doctor had said. Maybe less. Marcus's symptoms made absolutely no sense. Confusion, crushing headaches that spiked every night. A heart rhythm that danced between normal and chaotic. Bluish-tinged lips that definitely shouldn't have been blue. Every test came back clean, and yet the boy was slipping away. Across the city at County General Hospital, Cameron Brooks, a shy woman who cleaned floors on the night shift, was finishing her rounds in the West Wing when the break room radio crackled. The news anchor's voice cut through the quiet. Mysterious illness strikes Billionaire's son at Thompson Memorial. Doctors baffled. Blue lips, confusion, headaches peaking after sunset. Her hands went ice cold. Those exact words. She'd heard them before. 5 years ago, in a cramped apartment, a faulty generator humming through the night. Her brother, Danny, 14, had the same symptoms before he died in her arms. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Silent. Invisible. Deadly. This shy woman stared at her worn shoes, her cleaning cart beside her. Nobody important. But she knew something the powerful couldn't see. And this time, in this inspirational moment of clarity, she wouldn't stay silent. Could one heartwarming act of courage change everything? Thompson Memorial gleamed like a fortress across town, where the wealthy went for care. Cameron clocked out early, caught a bus, her heart hammering with every block. She had to reach that ICU. The receptionist looked up, smiled precise and cold. "Can I help you?" Cameron's voice came out smaller than she intended. "Marcus Thompson, the boy in ICU. I think I know what's wrong." The woman's eyes swept over Cameron's County General scrubs, her chapped hands. "Are you on staff here?" "No, I work at County General. Night shift cleaning, but I studied environmental engineering before I had to stop, and I think he has carbon monoxide poisoning." "Ma'am, this is a private facility. We have the best physicians in the state." Cameron pulled out a crumpled note, her handwriting shaking across the page. "Please, just give this to someone. Tell them to check carboxyhemoglobin levels and inspect the pool heater system. The flu could be blocked. It happened to my brother. The symptoms are identical." The receptionist took the note between 2 fingers, like it carried a disease. "I'll see what I can do." Through the glass, Cameron watched the woman drop it into the trash the moment she turned away. Security approached, a tall man with kind eyes, but a firm stance. "Miss, you're not authorized in this facility. I need you to leave." "Please," Cameron whispered. "Just 5 minutes. I know what's killing him. This is a private hospital. You're from County General. You can't just walk into another facility's ICU." "I'm sorry." Rain soaked through her scrubs outside. This shy woman sat on a bench across the street, watching the hospital like a lighthouse she couldn't reach. Her phone buzzed. A text from her County General supervisor. "Where are you? West Wing needs coverage." She replied, "Family emergency. Need personal time." The lie tasted bitter, but she thought of Danny. How she'd known something was wrong, but trusted the adults who said it was just the flu. How she'd woken to silence and a body gone cold. Never again. 2 hours later, Cameron returned. This time, she found a service corridor she recognized from her own hospital's layout. Staff entrances always looked the same. She slipped inside, wearing her County General badge, moving through the corridors with the invisibility of cleaning staff, who belonged everywhere and nowhere. The ICU prep area was quiet. Through the window, monitors beeped their uncertain rhythm. Cameron pressed her palm to the glass, and then Marcus's eyes opened, weak, unfocused, but awake, and somehow he saw her. A nurse noticed, leaned close to Marcus, then followed his gaze. She stepped outside, her expression wary. "Who are you?" "Someone who wants to help," Cameron said softly. The nurse hesitated. 2 minutes. He keeps asking for his mother. She passed 3 years ago. Maybe he thinks? She trailed off, opening the door. Inside, Cameron pulled a chair close. Marcus's hand reached toward her, thin and trembling. She looked at those blue-tinged lips and knew with absolute certainty. Carbon monoxide poisoning. The same silent killer that took Danny was coming for this boy, and she was the only one who recognized it. "Who are you?" Marcus whispered. "Someone who believes you'll see the sunrise." "What happens when you're the only person who can see death approaching?" "What?" Marcus's voice was barely audible. "Have you ever watched the sun come up? Really watched it?" He shook his head slightly. "Dad's always at work. I'm always tired. My brother loved sunrises." Cameron's voice caught. "He'd wake me too early, drag me to the roof. He said every sunrise was proof dark times end." Tears filled her eyes. "He died from something invisible. Something that could have been stopped if someone had listened." "What was it?" "Carbon monoxide from a broken heater. The same thing hurting you now." Marcus's fingers squeezed hers with surprising strength. "The doctors haven't said anything because they're not looking for it, and I'm nobody important enough to make them look." "You seem important to me." The door burst open. Bo Thompson stood there, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. Behind him, Lydia Crane, the company's COO, immaculate in designer charcoal, her expression sharp as broken glass. "Who are you?" Bo's voice was bewildered, not angry. Cameron stood immediately, shrinking. "I'm sorry. She's trespassing." Lydia cut in, her voice like ice. "Security. Escort her out immediately." "Wait." Bo held up a hand, looking at Marcus, whose fingers were still wrapped around Cameron's. "Marcus, she knows. Dad. She knows what's wrong with me." Bo's eyes shifted to Cameron. "You're a doctor?" "No, Cameron's voice barely rose above a whisper. "I'm a janitor at County General, but I studied environmental engineering before I had to stop. Your son has carbon monoxide poisoning from your pool heater system." Lydia laughed, cold and precise. "This is absurd. Our facility has state-of-the-art equipment. Everything is inspected." "When?" Cameron asked, surprising herself. "I'm sorry. When was the pool heater last inspected?" Lydia's smile tightened. "That's proprietary maintenance information." Bo's gaze sharpened. "Answer her." "The pool pavilion opened 2 weeks ago. Launch event. Everything was certified safe." Cameron's hands trembled, but she forced the words out. "Carbon monoxide looks like the flu, stress, dehydration, but it has specific markers. Has anyone checked carboxyhemoglobin levels? Done CO oximetry?" Dr. Nair, who was standing in the doorway, spoke up. "We've monitored pulse oximetry. His SpO2 has been normal, 98 to 99%. That's the problem." Cameron's voice gained strength. "A pulse ox can't tell oxygen from carbon monoxide on hemoglobin. It reads normal even during poisoning. You need CO oximetry, a blood test." Dr. Nair's expression shifted. "She's right. Standard pulse ox measures light absorption but doesn't differentiate between oxyhemoglobin and carboxyhemoglobin." Lydia stepped forward. "We're not reorganizing medical protocol based on theories from someone with no credentials who entered this facility without authorization." "She didn't break in," Marcus said, his voice weak but clear. "I wanted her here." Bo looked at Cameron. Really looked, seeing past the worn clothes and nervous posture to something underneath. "If you're wrong, you've lost 2 hours on a blood test," Cameron said. "If I'm right and you don't test, you lose your son." Silence stretched like a wire about to snap. "Do the test," Bo said quietly. "When the truth sounds impossible, who decides what's worth hearing?" Lydia's face hardened. "Bo, think about the optics. If word gets out, we're taking medical advice from someone." "Do the test." Dr. Nair left quickly. Lydia remained, her expression unreadable, calculating. Cameron was escorted to a waiting area. A security guard posted nearby, not unkind, but watchful. She sat with her hands folded, praying to a universe she wasn't sure listened. The minutes crawled by. Cameron's phone buzzed with messages from coworkers asking if she was okay. She couldn't explain. How do you tell people you've walked into a billionaire's hospital, claiming to know more than their doctors? But this wasn't about pride. It was about a 12-year-old boy whose lips were turning blue, about Danny, who'd never gotten a second chance. An hour passed, then another. Across town, Rosa Miller locked up her tea shop when her phone rang. A friend from her old medical technician days. Rosa, you know that woman who rents the room above your shop, Cameron? Sweet thing. Quiet as a mouse. Why? She's at Thompson Memorial, making waves about CO poisoning. I pulled some records as a favor. There's a maintenance log, pool heater, 48 hours ago. Flue blockage detected. Alarm acknowledged by someone with the initials L. C. Rosa's blood went cold. Acknowledged? And then what? Nothing. Event went ahead. Log was buried. Send me everything. When Rosa arrived at the hospital, she found Cameron in the waiting area, her head in her hands. She pressed a folder into the younger woman's lap. Evidence, Rosa said simply. Someone knew and did nothing. Cameron opened it with shaking hands. Maintenance log. Alert. CO exhaust blockage detected. Pool pavilion heater unit. Risk level high. Acknowledged by L. C. Crane COO Thompson Group. Action taken. Event prioritized. Repair scheduled post-launch. The words blurred. Someone had known. 48 hours ago, someone chose a party over a child's life. Cameron stood, the folder clutched to her chest. The security guard, Jamal Harris, had been watching. He'd seen her tears, her determination, her desperate texts explaining the situation to worried coworkers. You want to get that to the CEO? He asked quietly. She nodded, her eyes meeting his. Then let's go. Sometimes doing right means bending a few rules. They made it halfway down the corridor before hospital administration stopped them. Miss Brooks, you need to leave immediately. You're not authorized in this facility. She has evidence, Jamal said firmly. Of what? Some employee from County General playing detective in our hospital. The administrator's voice dripped with condescension. Mr. Thompson has real doctors. He doesn't need theories from staff who don't even work here. From someone like me? Cameron's voice was barely a whisper, but something in it made everyone stop. Someone who cleans floors at County General, who you don't see unless we miss a spot. Her hands shook, but she held the folder higher. My brother died because people like you didn't listen to people like me. I won't let that happen again. You can throw me out. Ban me from every hospital in the city. But Marcus Thompson is being poisoned by carbon monoxide, and someone in your organization knew and did nothing. The administrator reached for her phone. Security? Stop. Bo's voice cut through the tension. He'd been standing in a nearby doorway, had heard everything. Give me that folder. When power finally listens, everything changes. Bo read the maintenance log once, twice. His face drained of color. You knew. He turned to Lydia, who'd followed him into the corridor. You knew there was a carbon monoxide risk, and you did nothing. Lydia's composure cracked. The event was critical for investors. The repair was scheduled. I made a calculated risk assessment. You risked my son's life for a party? I didn't think. The heater only ran at night when temperatures dropped. I assumed limited exposure. You assumed my son was an acceptable loss for a photo opportunity. Cameron spoke up, her voice steadier now. The pool pavilion connects to the main house through the ventilation system. When you ran the heater after the launch to keep the area warm, you pumped poison directly into his bedroom. Every night he slept, the levels built up. That's why his symptoms peaked after sunset. Dr. Nair added, her own anger rising. Which explains why he'd improve slightly during the day at school, then get worse overnight. He was being repoisoned every single night while you protected your corporate image. Bo looked at Cameron with something like awe mixed with shame. How did you know? How did someone... He stopped, hearing his own words. I'm sorry. That came out wrong. Someone like me sees what people like you don't, Cameron said without bitterness. I clean hospitals. I see broken equipment unreported because maintenance costs money. I see shortcuts and ignored alarms. I lost my brother because adults told a 13-year-old girl she was overreacting when she said the generator smelled wrong. Her voice broke. I won't be that silent person again. Not when I know. Not when I can help. This isn't about me being inspirational. It's about a boy who deserves to live. Bo pulled out his phone. Dr. Nair. How long until the blood test results? Should be back within 20 minutes. Oximetry is fast. Call me the second they arrive. Cameron, you're not leaving this hospital. Jamal, make sure she has whatever she needs. Lydia's face went rigid. Bo, this is a mistake. If the test comes back negative, the liability. If the test comes back negative, I'll apologize publicly and personally, Bo said. But if it's positive, and we've wasted even one more hour because I cared more about reputation than the truth, I'll never forgive myself. In that moment, something shifted. This wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about whether power could learn to listen to the powerless. Whether a shy woman's voice could matter as much as a CEO's decision. Cameron waited, Rosa beside her, now holding her hand. Two women who'd been overlooked their entire lives, hoping that just once, being right would be enough. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. The moment you choose truth over image is the moment you become truly powerful. The test results arrived exactly 18 minutes later. Dr. Nair's face was pale as she entered Bo's private waiting room, where he sat with Lydia, the hospital administrator, and Cameron, whom he'd insisted stay. Carboxyhemoglobin level is 32%, Dr. Nair said, her voice shaking slightly. Normal is less than 2%. Anything above 25% is severe poisoning. It's honestly a miracle Marcus is still conscious. The room went silent. Bo's voice came out strangled. She was right. Carbon monoxide. Yes, his pulse ox was reading normal because CO binds to hemoglobin even more readily than oxygen. The device was essentially lying to us the entire time. Twist number 2. Cameron closed her eyes, relief and grief washing through her. Right, but too late for Danny. Maybe not too late for Marcus. Rosa squeezed her hand. This heartwarming moment of validation, of finally being heard, nearly broke her. Bo turned to her. What do we do? Tell me exactly what Marcus needs. High-flow oxygen, 100%. Non-rebreather mask, 15 liters per minute. And he needs hyperbaric oxygen therapy as soon as possible. It's the only way to force CO off the hemoglobin fast enough to save his organs. Dr. Nair nodded quickly. We can start oxygen immediately. The hyperbaric chamber at the medical center next door is already prepped. They keep it on standby for emergencies. We can have him there in under 10 minutes. Then move now. But before anyone could leave, Marcus's monitor erupted in alarms from the adjacent room. Through the window, his small body arched against the restraints, convulsing. Everyone ran. Bo reached the room first, Cameron right behind. He's crashing, a nurse shouted. V-fib. His heart's going into arrhythmia. A doctor grabbed the defibrillator paddles, charging to 200. Wait! Cameron pushed forward, every instinct screaming. Look at the monitor. His pulse ox still says 99%, doesn't it? Dr. Nair glanced at the screen, confused. Yes, but he's clearly in cardiac distress. It's still lying. Cameron's voice cut through the chaos with unexpected force. The CO is making his cells think they have oxygen when they're starving. His heart is shutting down from lack of real oxygen. You need 100% oxygen, high flow, right now. Switch to that immediately. The hyperbaric chamber next door is already prepped. Get him there in the next few minutes or his brain won't survive this. Dr. Nair made a split-second decision, trusting this shy woman who'd been right about everything else. Get him on a non-rebreather at 15 liters. Call the medical center. Severe CO poisoning patient incoming for immediate hyperbaric treatment. Move now. The room exploded into controlled chaos. Marcus was intubated, bagged with pure oxygen, and loaded onto a transport. His color began improving within seconds, the pure oxygen finally reaching his starved tissues. Bo climbed into the ambulance with him. Before the doors closed, he looked at Cameron, tears streaming down his face. "Come with us, please." She shook her head. "He needs you, not me. He needs both of us. You saved his life. Don't leave now." Sometimes, healing requires the presence of the one who believed first. In the ambulance, as Marcus fought for each breath with the oxygen mask pressed to his face, Bo held his son's hand and looked across at this slight young woman who'd saved his child. "I looked at your shoes instead of your eyes," he said quietly, his voice raw. "I heard your title instead of your words. I dismissed you because of where you work, how you looked, what you do. I owe you an apology, and the world owes you its ears." Cameron's tears fell freely. "Just let him see a sunrise. That's all I want. That's all that matters." At the medical center, Marcus was rushed into the hyperbaric chamber. The treatment would take hours, pressurized oxygen forcing CO off his hemoglobin molecule by molecule, giving starved organs a chance to heal and recover. Bo stood outside the chamber with Cameron, watching his son through the small window. Marcus's color was better already, his breathing more stable, but the danger hadn't passed. "Why did you try so hard?" Bo asked, genuinely trying to understand. "You didn't know us. You had nothing to gain. You risked your job, your credibility, everything." Cameron was quiet for a long moment, watching Marcus breathe. "My brother's name was Danny. He was funny and kind and wanted to be a park ranger. He died because I was too young and too quiet to make anyone listen when I said something was wrong." She wiped her eyes. "I'm older now, still quiet, but I'm not too anything to try anymore. I'm not too small, not too unimportant, not too anything when a life is at stake." Bo's phone buzzed. A text from his lawyer. "Lydia Crane removed from all positions effective immediately. Board recommends full investigation and OSHA involvement." He showed Cameron the screen. "This is just the beginning. OSHA will investigate. If maintenance protocols were violated, there will be consequences. Criminal charges, possibly. That won't bring back the time Marcus lost," Cameron said softly, "or the fear he felt, but it might save the next child." Twist number 3. Bo nodded, then said something that surprised even himself. "I've spent my whole life believing power came from money, connections, the ability to control outcomes. But you," his voice caught, "you had none of that. Just knowledge, courage, and refusal to be silent. That's real power. And I was too blind to see it until almost too late." Over the next 3 days, Marcus underwent multiple hyperbaric sessions. Cameron stayed, having requested emergency leave from County General. Her supervisor had surprisingly said, "Go. If you saved that boy's life, you're exactly the kind of person we need on staff. Take all the time you need." On the 3rd day, Marcus opened his eyes in a regular hospital room. The treatments complete. His color had returned. The confusion had lifted. He was weak but gloriously, miraculously alive. "Hey!" he whispered, seeing Cameron in the chair beside his bed. "Hey yourself, did I miss the sunrise?" When one person's courage shifts, entire systems begin to listen. Cameron smiled through tears, her voice soft but filled with joy. "Every single one. But there's always tomorrow and the day after. And hundreds more after that. You'll see so many sunrises, you'll lose count." Bo entered, carrying coffee, looking more human than he had in days, actually sleeping for the first time since this nightmare began. The haunted look had left his eyes, replaced by something lighter. Gratitude. Hope. "Doctor says another week of monitoring, then home. Full recovery expected. No permanent damage to any organs. It's a miracle." He set a cup before Cameron, his hands steadier now. "I didn't know how you take it." "Black's fine, thank you." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the kind that exists between people who've been through something profound together. Marcus dozed lightly, peaceful for the first time in weeks. The monitors beeped their steady, reassuring rhythm. Normal now, truly normal. Then Bo spoke, pulling out a tablet, his fingers scrolling through documents he'd clearly spent hours preparing. I've been thinking about systems, about who we listen to and why, about how many other Camerons are out there. Seeing dangers we miss because we're too arrogant to listen, too caught up in credentials and status to hear the truth. He showed her a press release, and Cameron's eyes widened as she read. Thompson Group is establishing a public safety fund, $1 million initially, for free environmental and safety inspections. Low-income housing, schools, community centers, anywhere vulnerable people live and work. 1,000 buildings in the first year, more after that, as many as it takes. Cameron's eyes widened, reading the details, seeing the scope of what he was proposing. It was comprehensive, thoughtful, exactly what was needed. That's incredible. This could save so many lives. It's not enough. It'll never be enough to undo the damage caused by people prioritizing profit over safety. But it's a start. He paused, seeming nervous for the first time, his usual CEO confidence replaced by genuine uncertainty. And I'd like you to run it, direct it, make the decisions about where it goes and how it's used, build the team, set the priorities, all of it. She nearly dropped her coffee, her hands shaking. What? No, I'm not. I don't have a degree. I'm a janitor who dropped out of college because I couldn't afford it after Danny died and I fell apart. I'm not qualified to run something like this. You're more qualified than anyone with a dozen degrees, Bo said firmly. You see what others miss. You care when it's inconvenient. You speak up when it's terrifying. Those aren't things you can learn in a classroom. You either have them or you don't. And you have them. He leaned forward, earnest. You're an environmental engineer who had to stop school because life got hard, because the system failed you after your brother died and you had no support. I'm offering you a salary that will let you live comfortably, full benefits, including health insurance and retirement, and funding to finish your degree while you work, however long it takes. No pressure. If you want it, no pressure, you can say no. Marcus reached for her hand with his grip stronger now, more certain. Please say yes. I want to help too when I'm better. We could visit buildings together, check on kids, make sure they're safe like you wanted to keep me safe. We could be a team. Cameron looked between them, this powerful man who'd learned humility, and a gentle son who'd learned about courage from the most unexpected source, and she felt a profound shift within herself. It wasn't merely validation. It was something far deeper, more enduring, a sense of purpose. A chance to transform her greatest loss into a shield for others. To imbue Danny's death with meaning that transcended mere grief. Okay. Yes, but on one condition. Name it. Anything. Rosa Miller, the woman who brought me that evidence when I was at my absolute lowest. She used to be a medical technician. She's been stuck in retail for 10 years because her credentials expired, and she couldn't afford recertification. Hire her as a consultant. She sees things too. Notices details others miss. She's been invisible for just as long as I have. Bo nodded immediately, already jotting things down. Done. I'll call her today. Anyone else? Anyone else who helped you who deserves a chance? Jamal, the security guard who helped me when he didn't have to. He broke protocol because he believed me, because he chose what was right over what was safe for his job. People like that, who choose right over rules when it truly matters, they're rare. We need people like that. I'll talk to him today. He'll have a position if he wants it. News of Lydia's cover-up exploded nationally within hours. OSHA immediately launched a full investigation. The maintenance contractor was hit with massive fines and lost their license. New protocols were established for reporting safety violations. Congressional hearings were scheduled. Lydia faced criminal charges for reckless endangerment. But beyond the glaring headlines and the lengthy legal proceedings, something quieter occurred. Something that mattered far more. Something that would resonate far beyond any courtroom verdict. In break rooms and waiting areas across the city, cleaning staff and orderlies and the very people who kept the hospitals running began to speak up about the subtle dangers they'd noticed. Frayed wires, leaking pipes, alarms disabled to stop annoying beeping, ventilation systems that smelled off, gas connections that seemed loose. And, crucially, most importantly, people started listening. Really listening. Managers held meetings with janitorial staff. Administrators requested safety reports from everyone, not just supervisors. The invisible became visible. This inspirational wave of change spread further than anyone could have imagined, rippling out in ways that defied prediction. Other companies announced similar safety funds. Medical schools began teaching students to value input from all staff, regardless of their position. The Cameron Protocol became shorthand for truly listening to frontline workers. Cameron spent her days visiting buildings, conducting inspections, finding silent killers before they could strike. Cracked heat exchangers, backdrafting furnaces, blocked vents, faulty carbon monoxide detectors that had never worked. Each one a potential tragedy averted. Each one another family spared from her grief. And every time she saved a life, she whispered Danny's name. A prayer, a promise, a memorial more lasting than any stone. When we listen to the smallest voices, we sometimes hear the biggest truths. 6 months later, as spring tenderly touched the city, Marcus was released with a clean bill of health. On the morning of his discharge, Cameron arrived at dawn with hot chocolate and a plan. "Come on," she said, grinning. "We have a promise to keep." They went to the hospital's roof access, Bo joining them, and stood at the railing as the sky transformed from black to navy to violet to gold. Marcus had never been awake for this. In his old life of late nights and even later mornings, sunrise was something he slept through, something he took for granted. But now, as light spilled over the horizon, painting clouds in shades of hope and promise, he finally understood what his mother must have felt watching him sleep. That quiet gratitude for another day, another chance. "See," Cameron whispered. "A real sunrise." Marcus smiled, his eyes bright with tears and joy. "Yeah, finally. It's beautiful. Danny would have loved this." "He would have," Cameron agreed softly. "He really would have." Bo stood behind them, resting a hand on Cameron's shoulder. "From now on, we listen even to the smallest voices, especially to them, because they often see what we miss." Cameron bowed her head, replying softly, "I'm not special. I just notice what others overlook. Anyone could do what I did. They just have to care enough to try." "That's exactly what makes you special," Bo said. "Caring when it's hard, speaking when it's scary. That's everything." Later, the Safety Fund office opened its doors. A small space bright with windows and possibility and the palpable energy of new beginnings. Rosa wore her consultant badge with visible pride. Jamal had joined as a community outreach coordinator. A handful of engineers and inspectors Cameron had carefully chosen for their empathy as much as their expertise filled the desks. On the wall, a photo of Danny at 13, grinning at the camera, a sunrise behind him, full of dreams that never got to come true. Underneath were words Cameron had written in careful script. "Listen to the quiet voices. They might save your life." That evening, as Cameron walked home through streets that felt less lonely now, more filled with purpose and connection, her phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. "Thank you for teaching me to see sunrises and for seeing me when I needed it most." "You're my hero," she replied simply. "Thank you for squeezing my hand when I needed to be seen, too. You saved me just as much." In the end, this wasn't a story about a billionaire or a medical miracle. It was about something more fragile and more powerful and infinitely more human. A moment of connection, a conscious decision to listen. A quiet voice that refused to be silenced when silence meant certain death. And a sunrise that irrevocably proved that the darkest nights always end. This heartwarming truth served as a potent reminder to everyone watching. Heroes don't always wear capes or hold fancy degrees. Sometimes they wear worn shoes and cleaning gloves. Sometimes they're the very ones we walk past every single day without truly seeing.